Hey YouTube, this is my first video for the platform and a video response to David Retro Games Play Badly. Link to his channel down there. Real nice chap is Dave, and provides some great content for the community. Always have a good chuckle at Dave's videos, and his video is entitled 10 games that you've discovered since being a collector. Now, I've been collecting since about 2013, and I've chosen to collect the systems that I owned as a kid all the way up to now. And just buying the games that A, I owned, and B, that I really wanted to play, and working myself through those. So I've chosen 10 games, and they're in like a chronological order. And we're going to start with the ZX Spectrum, which I had in the early 80s, very common over here in the UK. And a game that completely slipped me by, and that's Bruce Lee. Now, how this slipped me by, I don't know, because I was a huge, and still am a huge, Bruce Lee fan. I do admit that going back to the Spectrum I find quite difficult. I'd sooner leave some of those games in my memory. They're just very archaic to play. Some of them still hold up well, and this one does play really well. I do like the action platformers. You've got a series of chambers in this, and you sort of traverse ladders and platforms to get through the level, collecting little lanterns and doing flying kicks on the enemies, and then once you've collected the lanterns you can move on to the next screen, etc, etc. But it does play really, really well, this one, so thoroughly recommended. My next system was the Sega Master System, and that really upped the game's graphics, fidelity and gameplay, and I had the original version, or the first entry in this series back in the day, but this is the second entry, and that's Fantasy Zone 2. A shooter, very cutesy, very bold, lush graphics, lovely, jolly music, but don't let the cutesiness fool you. This is a tough game, but highly recommended. Next we move on to a 16-bit system, and my favourite system of all time. I have the most nostalgic memories for it, and that's the SNES. And this is a game I'm currently playing. I think I'm reaching the end of it now, and it's an RPG called Terranigma, part of the Quintet trilogy, along with Soul Blazer and Illusions of Time. Now, it's not quite as good as, say, Chrono Trigger or Secret of Mana, but it's thereabouts. Thoroughly recommended. A very pricey game. I believe this is legit. It's not a copy. It plays really well. It's got a very interesting sort of story, and lovely graphics. Great sound, as you would expect for this system. Highly recommended. I've got my Super Nintendo chipped, so I'm able to play Japanese games on there, and I've picked this one up. I saw this on another YouTube channel, and it looked really good. It's a fighter, and it's called Gundam Wing Endless Duel. Beautiful sprite work in this, massive sprites, robot mech fighter. Plays like an absolute dream. Real tight controls, and will definitely go toe to toe with like Street Fighter 2 or any of the other big fighters on the system. Highly recommended that one, and not a bad price as well. Next, I didn't own a PS1 back in the day, but I did borrow the system from a friend many times. I was an N64 person myself at this time. I just loved those muddy textures. But now, obviously, we're owning a PS3, it plays the PS1 games, so I've been going back through some of the key titles, and this is one of them. This is Silent Hill. Love my horror games. Very dated now, very clunky. Camera's god-awful. Controls are awful in some places, but still an endearing game. I did finish it, and I'm glad I did, so I do intend to play the second one soon. Not much need to say about this one. It's a classic, a cult classic. So on the N64, and obviously with this PS1, 3D titles were all the rage. So the fact that this came out as a 2D title was just quite a strange thing back in the day. I did own it, I did play it, but I never really gave it a chance. So I took it back, exchanged it, I believe, back in the day, and that's Mischief Makers. And this is an action platformer by Treasure, which is quirky to say the least, which is like many of the Treasure games. It's got a shake mechanic, how you sort of destroy the enemies and grab all the platforms and traverse all the levels. It's got excellent boss battles, very colourful, very original, and quite relatively easy to play as well, and thoroughly recommended that one. Next we've got the Dreamcast and Elemental Gimmick Gear, aka Egg. And this is an RPG with gorgeous pixel art. Really, really, really stunning game. I started playing this the end of last year, just before we moved, but then moved house, and I really need to go back to this one. But it's got a very interesting story, this, and I don't really hear too many people talking about this one. It's a little bit underrated, let's say, and very highly recommended, that one. Next is a racer for the PS2. With my races, I like the arcadey races, so your Mario Kart, your Wipeouts, your F-Zeros, and things with weapons and things, something quite fantastical rather than the sim games. And this is a good arcade classic. It is Outrun 2006, and really, really plays so well. I was playing this for hours the other day, and you can unlock the old tracks from the original game, the theme music, the 8-bit classics, the 16-bit music. So that's really, really good. Next, for the GameCube, we've got Second Sight, which was produced by the makers of Time Splitters. So it's got that same sort of character, quirky design, slightly cartoony. Really good premise in this. You've got psychological powers, so telekinesis and things like this, and you use that to get through environments and beat enemies, and you've got environmental puzzles that you work out using your powers that you gain through the game. Underrated, don't really hear many people talk about that one. Thoroughly enjoyable. And last, at number 10, it's not really retro, though I suppose it's getting that way now, is a game for the Wii, and that's Batman Bowden the Brave. And it's a kind of it's kind of a beat 'em up, side-scrolling beat 'em up, but also an action platform at the same time. Beautiful graphics. I've got it playing through my Wii U on the HD TV. It looks really, really sweet. And you play as Plastic Man in it as well. But it's got a lovely comic book style. Plays like a dream. Highly recommended. So there you go, guys. Those are my 10 games that I've discovered since being a collector. It's by no means a definitive list. I've obviously played many more. But these just sort of came to mind. I've tried to keep it as varied as possible. With the systems and the genre of game as well. So I'd love to hear what you think about any of these games in the comments below, or please let me know what games you've discovered through your collecting days. So thanks very much, and maybe see you again sometime.